and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is some of the challenges of African American youth, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about some of the challenges of African American youth, Pastor Kay Walker, Miss Stephanie Johnson, and Mr. Harold Shaw. Of course, let me welcome all three of you to the show this morning, Pastor. Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the challenges of African American youth, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about some of the challenges of African American youth, Pastor Kay Walker, Ms. Stephanie Johnson, and Mr. Harold Shaw. And of course, Pastor Walker, Ms. Johnson, and Mr. Shaw, let me welcome the three of you to the show this morning to talk about what I consider to be a very, very important topic, and a topic that the three of you have a lot of information in reference to it. And of course, Pastor Walker, you've been with us on many occasions, as well as Ms. Johnson, you might be new to this particular show, but the three of you should know that this first segment will be made up of what we call your background, education, and experiences. The idea is to give the audience some idea as to who you are, talking about the topic dealing with some of the challenges of African American youth. Then we'll have a break, and we'll come back for an 8-minute segment, and we'll give you an opportunity to further expand upon some of the challenges of African American youth, and then we'll have a break, and our final segment will be 10 minutes, and it gives us an opportunity to sort of bring together all of the information that we've tried to deal with this particular morning. And so let us start off, Pastor Walker, by having you to give us some information, some statements in reference to your background, your education, and some of your experiences. Ms. Johnson will do the same, as well as Mr. Shaw.
Well, thanks again, Dr. Haney, for having me on the show. I've been here many times, born and raised right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Good parents, I call them good parents. They raised me right. I went wrong, but they raised me right. Ended up becoming got kicked out of the public school system here, actually, in the state of Tennessee. Back then, they had a safety net for me. I was able to go into the military. Now you have to have a GED or graduate to be able to get in now, but back then you could go in without it. So I went into the military after having also gotten into some trouble. After getting kicked out of the public school system, got out of the military, got a GED through OIC, Opportunities Industrialization Center. From there, did some studies at Tennessee State University. Didn't complete it. My drug addiction got the best of me, drove me out of the college scene, ended up incarcerated in the state prison system. And just lived a lifestyle of crime for many years, 17 plus years, drug addiction, crime, and all of that stuff back in 1986. To be exact, August 24th, God intervened in my life, called me away from that lifestyle of drug addiction and crime and everything, and called me into the ministry. And this is what I've been doing ever since. This is what brings me to this show, because I'm always looking to make a difference in the lives of other people.
Very good. And of course, Mr. Johnson, what about you?
Hey, I was born and raised here as well. I grew up in my grandmother's home. She was a foster mom to 100 plus kids here in Nashville over the decades. And so I saw a lot of youth coming in and out. A lot were African American youth. And then I went to Hunter's Lane. It's one of the, I would say, more rougher schools here in Nashville. And there was a lot of fights and violence in there. I went on to go to Regent University, where I got a degree in organizational leadership and management. And there I learned about human trafficking and started doing a lot of work in that, and saw a lot of African American women being put into that trade and whatnot. And so, yeah.
Very good. What about you, Mr. Shaw?
Well, I'm born and raised right here in Nashville too, over in North Nashville. graduated from Pearl-Cohn, went into the military, did 20 years in the military. While in the military, I had a chance to do some mentoring and do some work with kids in high school. That what led me to, when I retired, to start my own organization. It's me and some of my dedicated best friends and staff members that I have with it. It's called We Are Relevant, and our main goal is to get these kids ready for college. I read through a website, it's called usnews.com, and it actually gives a grade point for all the different high schools. And then when I seen that Pearl-Cohn was graduating 87%, only 6% of them was ready for college. So I knew at that time that even though it's 87% sound good, these kids are not ready for college. So we're gonna start at the 5th grade level, and we mentor those kids all the way through high school, and it also has to make sure that they do community service.
And so in a real sense, all three of you represent some efforts to deal with some of the challenges of African American youth. And what we'll do, we'll have our first commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll allow the three of you to talk about something specifically in reference to some of the problems or some of the challenges or some of the successes of African American youth during this second period following this very, very short commercial break. And of course, what we'll try to do is to join you when we come back with our second segment of the show for the morning.